Good Friday afternoon to you. It's 4 o'clock. Time for Sports4CLE. Hope your weekend is off to a great start. Browns getting ready for the home opener Sunday, 1 o'clock. First Energy Stadium against the New York Jets. And some news out of Berea with the Browns on the practice field today. Earlier, it comes out that Perrion Winfrey missed practice today, being disciplined. Kevin Stefanski wouldn't say if he will be playing on Sunday against the Jets or not. Also, Jack Conklin listed as questionable, and Chris Hubbard listed as out for the Jets game. So if Conklin can't go, that means James Hudson, second-year guy, likely will step in at right tackle. Let's welcome in Jack Duffin from the Orange and Brown Report. And Jack, normally I'd be more concerned about James Hudson than I was. He played pretty well against the Carolina Panthers in the opener.
Yeah, I sort of saw the news. It was the start, and it was like, that's the thing I'm going to watch all game. After the first drive, I completely forgot he was on the field. And that's a good thing. You don't want to be sat there focusing on the O-line for the entire game, because if you're doing that, something's seriously gone wrong. So the fact that it was almost business as usual, forgot he was there, it was a really, really promising sign. So I think it'd be rash, even if Conklin sort of gets to 85, 90%, I don't think you need him this week. And that's not being cocky. We should just have enough talent to beat the Jets. Hudson looked good. Let him play out this week, and then we can look down the line. But even next week, TJ Watt not playing, obviously on IR. That's less of a concern now. Can we get even through the first 4 weeks to give Conklin sort of as much rest as possible, and then we need him to step up for that bigger game against the Patriots, I believe, week 5.
Yeah, and I'm with you. As long as Hudson's playing fine, let him get back and feel as good as he can feel. So Browns trying to go to 2-0 for the first time since 1993. Yeah, it's been a while. Head coach Robert Saleh for the Jets talked about what he sees when he looks at the Browns and gets ready for this team.
Offensively, their O-line's very good. They got the best one, arguably the best 1-2 punch at running back between Chubb and Hunt. They're good at the skill spots. Bill Callahan and Stefanski, they do as good a job as anyone with regards to creating issues in the run game. So they're very talented there. Defensively, they are fast. They're physical. Their front is a problem. They've done a really, really nice job schematically. Joe Woods and I being together from San Francisco. Miles Garrett and Clowney, they're hard to deal with. Linebackers are fast. Corners are pretty good, really good. So this is a very, very good roster. They've done a really nice job building it over there, and it's going to be a great challenge.
So, Jack, defensively, Garrett and Clowney would figure to be a problem for the Jets. They're down both their starting tackles. I think they're on their 3rd and 4th. They might even be on their 4th and 5th. So without a mobile quarterback, those two guys should be able to run and get to him.
Yeah, we're expecting Max Mitchell, 4th round pick. I think he went 111th. As a rookie, asked to come in, and you're going to play against either Miles Garrett or Jadeveon Clowney. I almost feel sorry for him. It's going to be a really, really tough moment. They've got a right guard, Elijah Vera-Tucker, who's really good, but that's not going to help out too much when you're the guy on the edge. So it's really the job to get around there. And Joe Flacco's not running away from anyone at his age. If you get past the tackle, you're going to get a sack if he can't get the ball out in time. So there's no extending of plays you're going to see, because Baker can move. He's not Lamar Jackson or anything, but he can move. So, they're all going to be chasing the statue of Joe Flacco this week.
So the one thing is the Jets' run game is a little different style than Carolina. Browns' defense was great against the run, against the Panthers, without question. Are you a little concerned because of the style of running that the Jets have relative to that interior of the defensive line, which again was good, but does that concern you a little bit about the Jets' offense?
Yeah, so certainly makes it slightly harder, because with Christian McCaffrey, it was going to be on the outside, ideally where he wants to feast. And you've got Joe Kay and you've got Walker, who were really, really quick and able to shut stuff down. But I think you're still going to be okay, because if all they're doing is running the ball, we can stop that. They've got to offer something in the pass game. And if Clowney and Miles are getting home really quick, they've got to force out quick passes, and that puts them in a dangerous spot. So I think we'll be okay, just because teams, they don't consistently move the sticks if you're running every single down. So force them into second and long, third and long, and then get ready for a punter and get someone back there to catch that ball.
All right, some roster questions after week 1, and you tweeted this out, so we're gonna go and ask you about this. Do you think they trade Dearness Johnson was inactive against the Panthers? And that's a guy that's shown he can play in the NFL. Also, any interest free agent wide receivers, Cole Beasley, T.Y. Hilton, or a trade for possibly Slayton or Mims? Any interest in free agent defensive tackles, Ndamukong Suh, Sheldon Richardson? Just your thoughts on those and the roster construction post week 1.
Yeah, I think one of these running backs is going to get moved, and Dearness is the obvious one, the fact that he's inactive. You've got 2 running backs there that are out of contract this year. So if you move Dearness Johnson on, and lots of fans will look at player-for-player trades, you don't actually get that many of them in the NFL. Not at this time of the year. You might see some more of them in the off-season. We saw Mack Wilson for Winovich. But once you get into the season, it's more players for picks. And they go, oh, why do you want picks? And it's like, well, if you trade away Dearness Johnson, you get back, let's say, a 6th. It doesn't really mean much for the team because, hey, he's at minute, the way they're looking at the depth chart, your 4th running back, which, fingers crossed, will never see a snap this season. You don't even want your 3rd running back taking a snap, let alone your 4th. And instead, you could bring in someone like Cole Beasley, who's apparently been getting offers around the league, and suddenly he goes in and he's your 3rd best wide receiver on the entire roster. And that's where you go from a 4th running back to a 3rd wide receiver that should be playing about 50% of snaps. It's a no-brainer, and someone's going to give you a 6th round pick to make that move. It all just adds up to extra picks, and hey, we've done well with later picks. DPJ was just some guy we took in the 6th round. That 4th round kicker, might not be a fan of taking kickers, but people go, oh, why do you need a 4th rounder? Well, we'd be sitting here 0-1 if we didn't have that 4th rounder on the roster.
Yeah, and you know what? You're absolutely right. Kevin Stefanski in this front office, Andrew Berry, Paul DePodesta, they seem to understand what type of player they are looking for. And that's how you get guys in the 4th, 5th, 6th round, is by understanding what fits into your scheme. All right, we're going to head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one by Kevin Stefanski.
Hello, this is Cherokee Ray, one of the Dog Pound founders. I'm calling about Coach Stefanski. He said in his press conference, he lays it right out there. He talked about the DNA from San Francisco to the Jets coaches and to his coaches and his philosophy of defense, and also his philosophy on offense. And I think if he don't know how to change a game plan while the game's going on and go from what he's locked in, we're never going to win a Super Bowl. He has to be a little more open to playing man on man and doing other things. His program is really great, but he needs to be flexible. Thank you. Bye.
All right, as always, appreciate all the voicemails. I don't really have a problem with this play calling, and I know you wrote an article about this. Just your thoughts when you look at it. What did you find out?
Yeah, I really like what's going on the offensive side of the ball because he's playing with one arm tied behind his back. Let's not kid ourselves. It's not like he's got Deshaun Watson out there. If he's got Deshaun Watson out there and we got the play calling that we got against the Panthers in that stage, then I'm like, well, something needs to give here. But I think you're playing. The number one goal is don't turn the ball over. That is the core part that you need to begin with, because that's what's hurt the Browns the last couple of years. It wasn't Baker's ability to throw the ball as much. It was the fact that we were turning the ball over too much. So keep the ball and then keep going. I think we'll see a more expansive playbook. We'll see more deeper shots, some really creative things once we get Watson back. But for the time being, it's just keep getting wins. We've seen several good teams. The number one seed in the entire AFC last year lost to the New York Giants. It's the first time since, I think, 2017 they've had a winning record at any point. Not just won the first game, at any point. You've got teams, the Bengals, they didn't win. So you've just got, it's all about getting over the line. Doesn't matter how messy it is. And Tom Brady used to struggle regularly in teams that went to Super Bowls. First sort of 3-4 weeks of the season, it's a bit slow, getting into your rhythm. So if we're sat here week 7, 8, and we're still having sort of some of these struggles, a little bit more concerned. I've got no reason to be concerned at the moment. If Myles Garrett, that strip sack, doesn't squirt out from under him, God knows how it came out and landed in Baker's lap, then you're talking about a 13-point win probably, because of where the game flow was at that stage. So these things, it's semantics. We won, move on, and just keep winning.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, look at it this way. Do you really want to ask Jacoby Brissett to go out and win a game when you have Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and those kind of guys? No, he's not the guy that's not what you want him to do. You want him to take care of the football and put you in decent situations. Don't put you in bad spots as an offense. Jack Duffin from the Orange and Brown Report and I'm going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Other side of the break, we head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with Jack Duffin from the Orange and Brown Report. Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about some potential roster moves.
Hey guys, first of all, I love the show. Thanks a lot for that. I was just wondering, do you think that what Andrew Berry's trying to do is wait till the end of the season and then franchise Kareem Hunt? Because, Dearness Johnson is amazing, but Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb together, that's the franchise. Makes it unstoppable. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Jack, I don't see them, I don't see any way that they franchise tag Kareem Hunt.
No, I struggle to see any route where Kareem Hunt is back in 2023. So a franchise tag would be $12.7 million. So you're effectively going to give him Nick Chubb money. So I think if you wanted to extend Kareem Hunt, you're probably looking around, I'd say, $7.5 million. I think would be a fair price. You look at a player like Leonard Fournette. You look at a player like James Conner. That's the sort of market that I think would be realistic. The issue is, if you had no Nick Chubb on the roster and you're going, hey, we're going to pay $7.5 million to one running back, he's going to get 70% of the snaps, then you're like, okay, I can sort of see that. When you're saying, let's pay Kareem Hunt, we'll give him 30%, it suddenly is just not a good use of resources, because that money has to come from somewhere else on the roster. So are you suddenly saying we're not going to pay John Johnson? Or are you saying we're not going to pay Jadeveon Clowney? Where's that money going to come from to put that into a running back? And you've got Jerome Ford, looked good in the preseason. He can easily play about 30% of snaps as a complement to Nick Chubb. So I think you've got to keep the money in the starters, guys that are playing well over 60, 70% of snaps. If not, some spots you're going to get 100. Focus on starters, focus on winning, improve the wide receiver core. Just enjoy what Kareem Hunt can do. Wish him all the best, and based on whatever deal he signs next and how the Browns operate in free agency this year, he could easily turn into a comp pick for the team as well. Maybe something around the sort of 5th, 6th. I'd guess around the 6th.
Yeah, and again, these are the decisions that really good teams have to make. We haven't been in this position in a while as Browns fans, so I agree with you. It's going to be tough. Kareem Hunt's going to outplay what the Browns could potentially pay him, I believe. So Robert Saleh, we've talked about him a little bit. He's a guy made his living as a defensive coordinator. He talked about what he sees in this Browns run game.
Bill Callahan, he's one of the better ones in football in terms of O-line play and creating run scheme and creating conflict. And then you add those two backs who are just tremendously patient, explosive, powerful, violent runners, along with a really good O-line, especially on the interior. They're as talented as you can draw it up, and so we've got to bring it. You know, it's going to take all 11 every play, but they're really good up front.
And Jack, what did you think of the way the line played? The offensive line was doing what everybody thought it would.
Yeah, understatement of the year there, saying Bill Callahan's one of the best. He is the best. It's not even close. I would pay him head coach money, because if he was not on this team, I dread to think where it would be at. Because there is a lot to the talent you collect, and it has been one of the most expensive O-lines in past years. But that talent is really driven to another level by the work he does. So he is an essential part. The run game's going to continue producing, but if we want it to produce the level we need, it has to be complemented by a pass game, because we only have to go back a couple of years when we played the Jets, and Nick Chubb was averaging 2.6 yards per carry, getting nowhere, because there was no pass game. So the minute you lose a pass game, you can easily stop a run game. You have to, even if it's just odd plays, the threat of the downfield pass, that is what needs to be there to sort of stop a good team and make sure you're competing all the way to the end of the season. So the only thing that's going to stop the run game is the pass game. And they've got a couple of good corners in New York. But I think Njoku could be in for finally right some of that wrongs from last week, get some more targets to him, maybe Cooper in the slot, and then hopefully that'll get the chains moving.
Yep, just short, quick passes that kind of gets Jacoby Brissett feeling pretty good and in a rhythm. I found this kind of interesting. So there was some talk about Jack Conklin, based on the way James Hudson played. If the Browns were to trade Jack Conklin, do you think they could do you think there's a chance that some team that's desperate for a tackle makes them a big offer? And do you think they would entertain that at this point? Or do you think too soon with James Hudson, you want to see a little bit more than just one game?
Yeah, too soon at this point. I think if you get further down in the off-season, further in the season towards sort of the trade deadline, and someone gets really desperate and you're looking at it going, well, Hudson's really come on. Conklin's probably not the player he was, which wouldn't be a surprise. If someone's offering assets, and you've got to remember, Von Miller went for half a year for a second and a third. And I'm not saying he's Von Miller, but that is the desperate level some teams right at the top are willing to throw at someone. So if some team offer me a third for him, I'm taking that. I don't mind. And people are like, oh, why would you trade away your depth? Why not? If you get a third and that guy turns into the next Nick Chubb or the next real talented player, I'm making that move all day long, because that guy can really come in and suddenly you lose half a season of your backup tackle if Hudson's really stepped on, and then instead you get the next David Bell, just as a third-round pick that has looked okay this season in preseason, and another guy like that who you're getting for 4 years, potentially you extend them for another 4. You're talking 8 years of a dude versus 6-8 games of a backup. It's a no-brainer. So I don't think you'll get the value of a third, but when a team gets desperate, crazy stuff happens.
Well, and you know, to your point again, that's kind of what successful teams do. That's how you churn over the roster and stay good and don't get into salary cap trouble. All right, let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one, question about some moves.
Hello there. I was wondering if you're surprised that the Browns didn't make a move to pick up a receiver after week 1 when the contracts wouldn't be guaranteed. I thought for sure they would pick up somebody maybe outside of the person they picked up for the practice squad for the regular roster.
I don't know if I'm surprised. I'd like to see another veteran, but Donovan Peoples-Jones played really well. I mean, they have a lot of confidence in him, and you saw why against the Panthers.
Yeah, so just to mention on the contracts being guaranteed, once you get to the Saturday before the season starts at 4 p.m., If a veteran player is on the roster, his contract's then guaranteed for the season. So even if there's no guarantees up to that point, the entire in-year salary becomes guaranteed, so you can't cut them or anything else. So that's usually a time when after that you'll see some extra moves. But I'm certainly in favour of picking up the phone. Cole Beasley, I think, would be a perfect target to have in the slot and give that extra security to Brissett. But if not, T.Y. Hilton can do a great job as well, maybe move some Cooper to the slot as well, which gives a really good near weapon for Brissett. But I'm certainly for upgrading it. If they're brought in Chester Rogers, ideally, who's going to be doing returning post this week, then do you really need Demetric Felton? He's done some nice stuff in the slot, but he's not Cole Beasley and T.Y. Hilton. I'm happy to make that move and give me another guy that Jacoby Brissett can look at and go, I have full confidence he's going to catch the ball. Because the more weapons we have like that, the quicker he's going to get the ball out. And as well, it just allows more scheming options, the more reliable pieces out there for Stefanski to play with.
All right, before I let you go, I wanted to take a look at this. So this is NFL data shows Tampa Bay Buccaneers, no surprise there. Oldest Week 1 53-man roster, over 27 years of age, ahead of the Patriots. Lions are the youngest at 25.07. Browns, second youngest at 25.16. So when you look at that roster, the Browns have one of the youngest in the NFL, and I think it's probably top 10 talent-wise as well.
No, and it's not by mistake. So Andrew Berry is well aware of the advantage of bringing in lots of young players, because in the draft, they focus on guys that are around that 21 age rather than you can bring in a guy that's 24 and he's probably going to play better during that first season. But then the issue is once he's done his sort of 4 years, or he's 28, and then you extend him and you've only really got 2 years, wrong side of 30, and we know that you get that decline in an NFL player. Well, if he's 21, get 4 years, you extend him. Well, now he's 29 after he's done 4 years and a 4-year extension, potentially get a comp pick. He's still at his prime. So when people say, oh, age doesn't matter, well, what if I told you someone got an extra 2-3 years on their NFL career just by drafting a slightly younger guy? And there's also the advantage. If a player's really good, they'll come out of college early, and that's why the youngsters are good. But as well, it's the depth pieces. You don't want to be trying out and sort of having your depth as sort of 29, 30-year-olds. You can have the odd one, but you want young players, because a young player like AJ Green that potentially comes on becomes a nice piece for the team. If you suddenly get a 30-year-old that has half a good season, he's going to go somewhere else, and you haven't got any benefit from it. So keep bringing through lots of young guys. They'll continue to churn the bottom of the roster. If you're ever in that sort of 45 to 53 range, don't unpack your bags. There is a chance that any week you're going to be moved off as they find someone else on a practice squad or something one of interest. They'll bring them in and move you out. So lots of competition drives success, and it's exactly the way you should be building a roster.
Jack Duffin, Orange and Brown Report, as always. Thanks so much for the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Jack.
Have a good one.
All right, Jack Duffin, make sure you read them. Orange and Brown Report, always some really good stuff, especially with roster construction. We are going to step aside, take a quick time out. Randy Gurzi from Dog Pound Daily joins us. We're still talking Browns. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
Sports4CLE continues. We continue talking Browns, getting ready for the home opener Sunday, 1 o'clock against the New York Jets. We're going to head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about a couple of the Browns' high-profile offensive players.
Yeah, this is Cherokee Ray, one of the Dog Pound founders, calling back again. I see the Mari Cooper on there, and I'd like to thank him, Mari Cooper and Nick Chubb and Ozzie Newsome and Mr. Clutch and all the players that just do their job and go back to the huddle or the sideline. I meet so many young people around Ohio that just do their job and go back home, and they love the Cleveland Browns, and we need more of that. People that just know their job, do it, and really appreciate that kind of attitude. And my question is, do you think we can get more players like that? Thank you.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Let's welcome in Randy Gurzi from Dog Pound Daily. Randy, they're Chubb and Amari Cooper they're different than most in the NFL. So you appreciate them and you like what they stand for.
Yeah, they're both great. And to the caller's question, yeah, you want to have guys like that on your team, but I think that you kind of run a fine line. You don't want to have everybody on your team like that. You got to have some people that are emotional and kind of get people fired up. Myles Garrett's one of those recently. He's been talking a whole lot more, and people respond to that too. And then the flip side of it, if you were to watch like with the Dallas Cowboys, everybody loved Amari Cooper. And it seemed like people started to turn on him when things weren't going right, when the offense wasn't moving. People started saying he showed no emotion. So, yeah, you want to have people like that. But, having some of the more up-tempo guys is also good.
Yeah, and again, it's there are so many different ways to get it done. The bottom line is, and that's a very valid point. Cowboy fans kind of, when things were going well, they loved the lack of emotion. When things weren't going well, they wanted him to start throwing his helmet, and that's just not who he is.
Yeah, exactly. And I think sometimes you've got to have that guy that'll get other people a little bit fired up, that's going to point out when things aren't going the right way. And that was one of the things people loved about Baker Mayfield when he was with the Browns, is that he would kind of do that, would get people fired up. But, Myles Garrett's been stepping up and doing it, like I said. So as long as you have a little bit of 53 guys on the team, you got to have a little bit of difference there, and those two are definitely great for what they do, and it's nice having them.
All right, so we're going to take a look at the Browns' defensive line from an offensive lineman's perspective. Brian Baldinger breaks down what he sees from the Browns' defensive end, this courtesy of Jets' YouTube channel.
The foundation to the Browns' defense is their four-man defensive line, led by Myles Garrett, the right end here. He's a freak athlete. Unbelievable athletic ability. Like right there, he's got his hand on the ground turning the corner. And in 2 steps, he hits Baker Mayfield. I mean, he's the sack king right now. There's not really anybody in this business that's as strong and powerful as he is. You can put a tight end out there. It doesn't really do much. But you got to have a plan, though, because when he comes around this corner, he's looking for the ball. He can ruin the game. He can change the game. That's the sack, fumble, and the fumble recovery against Baker Mayfield in a close game last week. Myles Garrett did it all. But on the other side, they got Jadeveon Clowney, number 90. Now, he's not the same pass rusher that Myles Garrett is, but he's a freak athlete, 6'6", 280 pounds, and can run and chase with the best of them. He was going to get his hands up, he deflects that pass, and an incompletion on a throw to DJ Moore. He's not the same pass rusher, but he's got great power.
And Randy, that's kind of an illustration of why the Browns are okay with what they have as far as the defensive tackles go with young guys. You better pay attention to the two edges with Clowney and Garrett on the edges.
Yeah, and Garrett's getting all of the love because he got the 2 sacks, which are fantastic. But Clowney had the 2 batted balls. And one thing that I really loved on one of the clips he was showing there, you could see that Clowney was lined up next to Garrett. Both of them are just so good all around, where they can rush the passer, they can shut down the run, that you're able to slide one of them inside. They're strong enough, they're powerful enough, like you said, being the freak athletes. They're both right around the 6'5", 270 pounds. So they're very versatile as well. I was worried about the defensive tackles being susceptible to the run, but those two really stepped it up and helped out. So, I mean, obviously the Browns, they knew what they were doing. They know what they have. And those two really just wreak havoc for offensive lines.
Yeah, and, against Panthers, defensive tackles were just fine. Robert Saleh, the Jets head coach, defensive guy, made his name in the NFL by being a defensive coordinator for the 49ers. He talked about what he sees from Myles Garrett.
I was joking, not joking because it's half true, that the good Lord was on his A game when he built Myles. He doesn't have a flaw to his game. He's big. He's got everything, and when he turns it on, he's impossible to block.
Is having Clowney on that other side
makes it even worse.
And again, that's a great way of putting it with Myles Garrett.
It is. I mean, the guy, he's a physical freak. He's so big, so powerful, but he doesn't sacrifice any of the speed. And as Baldinger was pointing out, he's got that incredible bend and athleticism. You really don't see a lot of guys like that. And Saleh would know, because he got the San Francisco 49ers to the Super Bowl with Joe Woods coaching the secondary, and the Niners really built that defense on the defensive line to be able to get after people and having strong and powerful pass rushers. And Myles Garrett is, he's still better than anybody that they had.
Yeah, and we'll hear him talk a little bit more about the Browns' defense coming up here in a minute. Randy Gurzi from Dog Pound Daily and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out, other side of the break. We'll head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. We'll also hear more about what we expect to see from the Browns-Jets coming up Sunday at 1, First Energy Stadium home opener. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with Randy Gurzi from Dog Pound Daily. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about the Browns' Kareem Hunt.
3 nicknames I want to throw out. Double Barrel, that's Clowney and Garrett. Thunder and Lightning, that is Chubb and Hunt. And Lethal Weapon 3, of course, is Cade York. But here's my question, not just my statement. I think it would be a great gesture if the quarterback was able to restructure his contract to help out with the ceiling, to give a little cash so Hunt could get signed for his deal. If our troubled quarterback do that, that would be a great gesture for the fans to help restructure his contract to keep one of our best players. So just love to hear your thoughts about that. Thanks. Bye.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Randy, the Browns can find a way to make it work salary cap-wise if they really want to keep Kareem Hunt. The question becomes, are you going to dedicate that much of your salary cap to the running back position? And I don't have the answer to that, but that's kind of what they're going to work through.
It's, before the season had started, I kind of felt like, there's no way they're going to extend Kareem Hunt. But then you watch the way he played in week 1, and, the Browns really missed him last year when he missed those 9 games. So he's a dynamic player. He really makes things much harder on the defense. So I think it's going to come down to, them weighing how much he wants to, how much they think they lose going from him to Jerome Ford. Then you also have to weigh in the fact that I think when Deshaun Watson comes in, they're probably not going to lean on the running game near as much, simply because Watson's there to throw the ball and to throw the ball a lot. I know Hunt can help in that way, but it's kind of what you're talking about. I don't know how much money they're going to want to dedicate to running backs. I know the guy also brought up something about it being a good gesture for Deshaun Watson to renegotiate his contract. And I always find that an interesting debate because these players, they don't have that long to make their money. And it's always easy to look at someone else's money and say they should give a little bit of that up. But, you don't know what their plans are with that money. You don't know. A lot of them want to, kind of build an empire. Some might want to look at building towards sports ownership when they're done. So it's hard to sit here and say that somebody should give up their money. I think more than likely, if they did want to keep them, it's going to be some kind of a restructure where, they move around the salary bonus or something like that. But in the end, I don't know how this offense, this front office that's so analytical based feels about paying 2 running backs.
Yeah, and the flip side of that also is Kareem Hunt may play so well that he gets a huge contract offer from another team. That's very much within the realm of possibility because he's RB1 on most teams, on the great majority of teams in the NFL.
Yeah, you can probably name 15 to 20 teams that would say, yeah, he would be our number 1 running back and give him the ball 20 times a game and you throw it to him another 5 times a game. He definitely could be that. And we saw that in Kansas City when he led the NFL in rushing in 2017. So, and agents are going to get out there. They're going to talk. They're going to find out that, somebody's going to be paying him money similar to what Nick Chubb's making. So I can't see him taking a contract that will allow him to stay in Cleveland.
Yeah, I would agree. All right. Wyatt Teller, week 1 against the Panthers. This is from Pro Football Focus. 38 pass blocking snaps, 0 pressures allowed. 85.9 Pro Football Focus grade. It's the 9th game since he joined the Browns in 2019 where he has not allowed a pressure. And keep in mind, that's a guard. That is critical. Pressure up the middle destroys quarterbacks, even Tom Brady.
Yeah, quarterbacks know kind of how to step up in the pocket and avoid some of the pass rushers that are coming off of the edge. Like you said, it destroys it when you got somebody coming up the middle. You look at Aaron Donald when he'll just go out there and wreck a game plan, or Chris Jones for the Chiefs. When John Dorsey was the GM, he made a lot of big moves that really didn't work out. But what's funny is this is one of the smaller moves that he made where he just gave up a late round draft pick for Teller. And it was probably his best move. He's turned into one of the best guards in the game. I think he was number 1 rated by PFF in week 1. He just goes out there, he does his job, he mauls people, opens up holes in the run game, and his pass protection is really underrated.
All right, let's take a look. 5 bold predictions for the Browns week 2 against the Jets. This is from an article you wrote for Dog Pound Daily. We're going to do a couple of them in tandem. So Cade York stays perfect as number 5, and Jacoby Brissett finds his groove number 4. And I think that's key. I think the Browns are going to need more than they saw with Jacoby Brissett. And I'm not in any way diminishing the final drive, but they need more efficient quarterback play if they're going to get where they want to go in these 11 games.
Yeah, I have said all along that they probably need to win 5 to 6 games while Deshaun Watson's suspended. If they get in that range, 5 and 6, 6 and 5, then they will be able to make a little bit of a run at the end. Brissett, they got it done. They got the win. These next 3 games are all winnable. The one against Pittsburgh is probably going to be a little bit tough. We saw that their defense is still playing really well. But that first game, Brissett left a lot of points on the field. He had people open. He overthrew them. Carolina is going to be a little more forgiving than some of the other teams they play just because they weren't able to put up points in a hurry all game long. They had a good fourth quarter, but for the first 3 quarters, they were really shut down. I do think that Brissett not playing much in the preseason and Watson getting the majority of the number 1 snaps during training camp and everything played a factor in that. I think the more Brissett gets out there and gets comfortable with guys like Amari Cooper, I think the more we'll see that he gets into a groove. And I think that the Jets are a team that he can start to do that up against, that he can find, get a few of those shorter passes, hit the tight ends a little bit more, and then open the game up for him and Cooper to finally start to connect.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would expect him to play a little bit better than he did, and that to be kind of a gradual process. All right, number 3, Martin Emerson records his first pick. The rookie played pretty well. The more I see him, the more I want to see him on the field. Number 2, Nick Chubb scores twice. So last week it was Hunt. This week you say Chubb. And Myles Garrett crushes the sack record. And I got to believe Myles Garrett is just licking his chops, because you've got a couple of tackles out. You've got a quarterback that is as immobile as a quarterback gets in the NFL. And Myles Garrett's coming off a pretty impressive showing in week 1.
Yeah, and week 1, he was going up against Ikem Ekwonu, who was the 6th overall pick. Still a rookie, but he was an incredibly talented player. Now this week, he's going to be lining up against George Fant, who's normally a right tackle. And on the opposite side, you've got Max Mitchell, I believe was a 4th-round pick. So no matter who he goes up against, he's going to have an even better advantage than he did last week. The Jets are going to really have to try to scheme to keep him from ruining their game plan, putting some tight ends over there, keeping a back out there, and then that helps the secondary a lot. Also, Martin Emerson, like you're talking about, he's the more you see him on the field, you want to see him out there. The guy looks like a linebacker at corner. He's physical. He comes up. He makes the hits. That interception he made against Jacksonville was one of the greatest highlights of the preseason, where he just ripped the ball out of the guy's hand and ran it back for a touchdown. So, he's a lot of fun, and I think having less people out in the routes and having Myles Garrett get back there and force the ball out of Flacco's hands quicker is going to play to his strengths as well. And I think he's going to get his pick. Like I said, I think Myles Garrett is going to get the 2 sacks at least and be the all-time sack leader before the game's over.
Yeah, and the one thing about Emerson, if you're not wearing the same color helmet and jersey, he just doesn't seem to like you, which you love to see on the defensive side of the ball. All right, before we go, we've talked a little bit about Robert Saleh, defensive coach. Again, made his name in the NFL by coaching the 49ers defense. And you mentioned they went to the Super Bowl. Here's what he said when he looks at the Browns defense, what he sees.
I don't want to compare them to 19, but they're disruptive up front. They're fast at the intermediate level, and they're locked down on the outside. I mean, they're a very, very, very talented group. You could argue they're one of the top 5 units in football right now. So it's going to be a great challenge for our team.
And Randy, they're playing him, so he's going to say nice things about him. Don't get the wrong idea. That 19 team was the Super Bowl team that you were talking about, and Joe Woods was part of that.
Yeah, I know that coaches are going to, for the most part, be complimentary, but I don't think that he was being. I think he was being genuine. I think that he really watches that defense and knows they're building them the same way that his defense in San Francisco was built. And it's exactly like he said. They're fast, they're strong, they're going to get after the football. You've got all 3 levels have playmakers, where you got the 2 edge guys up front, and even Alex Wright has shown that he can play. You got JOK in the middle, and Anthony Walker really stepped up last week. He impressed me. I thought Jacob Phillips was going to be pushing him for a job, but we really didn't see Phillips do a whole lot, whereas Walker was all over the field. And then in the secondary, of course, you got Ward, Newsome, and then the safeties. Emerson's in there now. I think they're a very strong defense, and I think they are going to be top 5 throughout the year.
Yeah, I would agree, and they're young. I think most of their players are either in their prime or ascending to their prime, which means they're going to be good for a while if they can keep everybody together. Randy Gurzi, as always, appreciate the time and the insight. Great stuff. Thanks very much, Randy.
All right, thank you for having me.
All right, Randy Gurzi. Make sure you check him out, Dog Pound Daily. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Other side of the break, Lance Reisland with some film breakdown of the aforementioned Martin Emerson. Sports4CLE and talking Browns. We'll also have some predictions coming up. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
Sports4CLE continues. We continue talking Browns, getting ready for the home opener against the New York Jets Sunday over at First Energy Stadium. Let's welcome in Lance Reisland with our film breakdown. This week, Lance, we're going to take a look at a rookie who graded out well a week ago. One of the top 15 rookies in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus, cornerback Martin Emerson. And the more I see of this guy, the more I seem to like him.
Yeah, he has been impressive. He was impressive all camp. I really like his length. He's got 33.5-inch arms. He's got a 6'7" wingspan. He's very good in man. He's very good in zone. More importantly, I really like the way he carries himself. He's not overly arrogant, but he has a confidence about himself of not a rookie. So he's been very impressive, and I've watched it for a number of weeks now, and it's carrying over from the practice field for sure.
Yeah, and you need that kind of belief in yourself if you're going to be a cornerback, especially in the NFL. Let's take a look at some of the things on tape that we have. So this is Emerson going against Donovan Peoples-Jones, man-to-man coverage. What do you see here with this?
Well, a couple of things I filmed on Emerson is that all these defensive backs, they have great carryover from their drill work to one-on-ones and 7-on-7s and team. What I like here is that he is in great position here. He focuses on the hip of Donovan Peoples-Jones. He breaks down, and then he uses that length to get the ball out late. So, again, he has great feet, great change of direction, great lateral movement. He runs very well. Like I said, he's long, he's 6'2". And what I like here is that he finishes the play. So he moves his feet quick, he turns that hip, and he runs, and then he finishes by getting the ball out. So just a really good rep here. Yeah,
and you know, the qualities that you're pointing out are qualities usually of elite cornerbacks in terms of the hips and the feet finishing plays. Let's take a look at this. This is another one, kind of those hips that we're talking about. Another drill, an end of catch drill with the hips. What do you see here? What are they working on?
So the previous drill, this is a great example of what they were working on for the previous drill. They're working on opening those hips. The guy's going to push and open them up vertical. So he's going to just work on opening those hips and running, simulating that guy running the vertical a route on him. And then at the end of the thing, there's such attention to detail at the NFL level. Then they're going to work on receiver goes with his hands, you go with your hands as a DB. So just a drill to open up those hips, run, and then finish the drill by knocking the ball out and going. Old rule is you go when the receiver goes.
Everybody talks about hips with cornerbacks. Why is that so important? What does it mean to a coach if the hips are fluid and quick?
Well, I think the big thing is the ability to change direction, the ability to cover double moves, open up when receivers are pushing you vertical, then the stop routes, and the ability to turn and run, not only have your hips be open, but that, the hip mobility, the ability to explode, the ability to stop and start really, really fast, change direction. I think I think if I had to put one thing on it, it would be the change of direction, the ability to recognize what the receivers run, open up those hips, and then get to full speed in less than a step or so.
So it's basically the reaction to what the receiver is doing is why it's critical. You mentioned double moves. Here's another look at some clips from Emerson recovering on a double move. And again, that's the hips are the reason why, correct?
Correct. I really got a good vantage point here during his SCLE one-on-ones during camp, and it was really impressive to see. So first thing he does is he works on not backpedaling because they're in the red zone. So he just kind of works a hop step, so he's not giving away an easy throw, which you see so many times in the NFL at all levels of football, where that DB down in the red zone is going to backpedal. There's no reason to backpedal. You got the back line as your another defender. Then the guy makes a really good move, badly formed with the Browns, makes a good move, and there's no panic in Martin Emerson. He doesn't panic. He changes direction, puts that right foot in the ground, and then turns. And then what I really like is that he runs to the hip. He does not look right away. He runs to the hip, and then you'll see him look right as the receiver looks. So it was just a really good recovery, change of direction. And, again, one of the things DBs will do is they will look too early. He ran to the hip, closed down the receiver, and looked late, which is really a veteran move, really well done by him.
Yeah, and you saw the head turn around almost right when the ball was coming in, so the timing on it was really good. The other thing that we're going to take a look at, a couple of things from when he was in college, and these are pretty impressive. So this is from a game against Kentucky, and he is the guy coming up the sidelines there to deliver a very big hit, and that's the way you want your cornerbacks closing on a wide receiver in space.
Well, yeah, and the thing about him is that he's a big guy. He's 6'2". He's a really large guy. He's long. He's not afraid of contact, so that's really, really good. He gets a big hit here, but he's also very good in the run game. He understands, his reads in terms of what he's looking at through the backfield, through the quarterback when he's in zone. And the big thing about these college clips is he's not always super technical. He'll get more technical at the NFL level, but he will absolutely throw his body around, which is important in terms of tackling on the edge. So yeah, this is really impressive in terms of, again, with the hips, being able to put that foot in the ground and get to full speed quickly and cover a lot of ground and then deliver a blow.
Yeah, the other thing is he goes kind of inside out, so he's moving towards the sideline, where if the receiver is going to try to get by him, he's going to step out of bounds.
Yeah, and like you said, that those technique things, he played in the SEC, so that's another impressive thing about him. He was coached at a high level, and he played against high level competition all the time. So when you say something like that, that's coaching. And obviously he was well schooled at Mississippi State, because exactly right, he comes inside out, he uses that sideline as another defender.
So let's take one more thing from Mississippi State, this one against North Carolina State, and it's open field tackle, and we've seen this already from him. So he beats a blocker and then makes an open field tackle on a skill position guy.
Well, the thing I like here is that if you look at the beginning of the clip, he's going to be in like a zone read drop, and the Browns run a lot of this, different terms for it, read 2 or read 4 or palms, where they're reading through the backfield, and Martin Emerson's actually reading through the number 2 receiver through the quarterback here. So he has a number of reads, and he takes those initial shuffle steps and reads through the receiver, number 2 receiver through the quarterback, and then again just closes. His ability to change direction with that hip mobility, change direction, foot in the ground, and then just close and deliver a strike.
Yeah, and again, NFL level, you better be able to tackle, and he certainly is not afraid to come up and use that big frame. You and I were talking off camera before we began this. It seems like the Browns kind of have check marks, and they know what they're looking for. You look to the last 2 cornerbacks they drafted, early. Greg Newsome has been really good. Martin Emerson appears to be a guy that fits with what they're going to ask him to do.
Yeah, they like the length. Like I said, he's got really long arms. He's got a long wingspan. That's going to help in their zone coverage that Joe Woods likes to run. He's also very physical, so he can be in man coverage. Martin Emerson's another guy that can play in the slot, which is important in terms of run support. So yeah, they have a definite body type they like, and they also have a mentality they seem to like in terms of guys who are athletic, but not afraid to hit and not afraid to stick their nose in there when needed.
Yeah, the other thing that, the other thing we were kind of talking about is I'm not sure how he slid to the third round, and you look at it, he didn't intercept some passes. Sometimes in a defense like Mississippi State's, it's probably because they're not throwing his way.
Well, it's funny when, it's the first year I've actually dove into the draft like I did this year, and I really enjoyed the breakdowns, and it's amazing. He runs well enough, and there's something to be said about football speed and understanding what the offense is trying to do to you, and he understands that, and he runs well enough, and when you see him on film, you're kind of shocked that he slid to the third round. But, they so much importance on that raw time, that raw 40 time. And it is important because these guys can really, really run. There's also guys who really can run on the football field. And Emerson seems like one of those guys who can really cover ground. He's long. He's a long strider. And he can turn and run. And he's an impressive guy. It is shocking to see him slide to the third round. The Browns really evaluate their corners and their secondary very well.
Yeah, he's going to be a lot of fun to watch as he continues to grow and kind of evolve into the role that Joe Woods and the Browns want him in this defense. As always, great stuff. Appreciate the time, Coach, and the insight. Lance Reisland, thanks very much.
Thanks again for having me.
All right, Lance Reisland, make sure you catch his film breakdowns, cleveland.com, as well as the Plain Dealer. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Other side of the break, we go to your predictions for the home opener against the New York Jets Sunday at 1. We'll also check in with our first shining star of the season, Sports4CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns on Sports4CLE. Browns getting ready for that home opener against the Jets, 1 o'clock, First Energy Stadium on Sunday afternoon. It will be the debut of Brownie the Elf at midfield. A good look at Brownie the Elf. When special teams coach Mike Prefer talks about Brownie, he sees something a little different than most.
Ball security, it's bad. He's not covering up the tip of the ball. It's the first thing I think of. His hand is back here. The tip of the ball is exposed. I can't believe they're going to put that on the 50-yard line. No, but he will not be our returner, no.
You got to try what you got to try with the return game being what it is for the Browns. Again, Mike Prefer, Browns special teams coach. All right, we asked for your predictions for Week 2 against the New York Jets, the home opener. Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This is what you think is going to happen when the Browns host the Jets Sunday at 1.
Hey, big fan of the show. Brian Rizzo calling from Hilliard, Ohio. I call often. I'm just calling to give my Sunday score prediction. I'm going to say the Cleveland Browns win this game. Our offense gets a little bit better in the passing game. So I'll say Cleveland 27, the Jets 9. Go Browns. Woo, woo, woo.
Hey guys, this is Randall McKissack, lifelong Browns fan, frequent caller. Prediction for the game against the Jets, I predict the Browns will win by more than a touchdown.
Hey everyone, so I'm not confident our running game will be as good as last week, as the Jets defense will try to make Jacoby Brissett beat them. Therefore, Jacoby will have to hit a couple of deep shots and be more consistent passing overall, in my opinion. This might cost us a turnover or two, but we have to play to win. On defense, I think our D-line will feast on Flacco, and the pressure will give them happy feet, allowing for a couple of Flacco turnovers, therefore helping us to tie or win the turnover battle. Another key will be limiting our penalties, and I expect we will have less than last week's 9 penalties. The Browns will find a way to make it close in the end, unfortunately, as the Jets get it to a one-score game late, but fall short. Browns 23, Jets 15, providing we don't look ahead to the big Pittsburgh game prematurely. That is a concern. Go Browns!
I know that you asked for predictions regarding the Jets game. I was going to say that maybe I'm looking at 23-16 Cleveland. The defense still holds strong. Offense is still a little shaky, but I think in the long run, I think we'll pull it out. Thank you very much. Have yourself a good day. Bye-bye.
Hey, Dave, calling in with my Week 2 prediction, but first I got to say, I was wrong. I was wrong last week. I thought the Browns would find a way to lose that opener. I couldn't be happier to admit I was wrong. Week 2, the Browns should win this home opener, and the keys are going to be cleaning up the mistakes and miscommunications in the defensive backfield, and that front seven should dominate a suspect Jets offense. So I see the Browns winning 20-13, going 2-0. Go Browns.
Dave, Sunday's game score prediction, Browns 24, Jets 6. Browns defense will come up big and hold the Jets to 2 field goals. Garrett will get 4 sacks, Clowney 1. Browns will score 3 touchdowns, 1 by Chubb. Hunt will catch a pass in the red zone for a TD, and Amari Cooper will score on a pass play for over 30 yards. And finish off, K. York will kick a field goal from around the 45-yard line. Go Browns.
Hi, this is Rico, and I'm trying to predict the Jets versus Browns game. My prediction is going to be 23-20 Browns victory, but this time it's the defense that comes out with a stop to end the game. Go Browns.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. I, too, think the Browns will win this. I think it's going to be something along the lines of 23-10. I think the Jets have enough skill position guys that Wilson or Elijah Moore or Carter, one of those guys, ends up finding the end zone. But I think in the end, the Browns defense kind of holds the Jets down, and I don't see Joe Flacco being able to consistently move the football. I think the Browns are able to run it a little bit. I think Brissett plays a little bit better, and I think the Browns win it 23-10 to go to 2-0, first time since 1993. Each week, in conjunction with the Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program, we recognize a role model student from somewhere in the state of Ohio. This week, we head to Nordonia High School. Joey Palinkas is the quarterback for the Knights football team, also getting it done in the classroom as he is among the tops in his grade as far as academics go. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program is proud to salute Joey Palinkas from Nordonia High School, this week's Shining Star. It's been an outstanding start to the football season for Nordonia this year. The Knights are 4-0, ranked 8th in the state in Division II this week. One of the key reasons has been the play of their senior quarterback, Joey Palinkas, getting his chance to start after waiting his turn and then showing he's tough on defenses.
Obviously, I think I'm a threat running. I always want to be a better passer, get my teammates the looks that they want, and make smart plays, limit my turnovers. Got a lot of young guys here. Everyone's working really hard, and a lot of some quick people, Devin, Israel, all of them, and everyone's stepping up. So, running the ball, passing the ball, we got a lot to work with.
He's just ready to go. He's a gamer. That's a competitor. You see all parts of it. That he's got the toughness and the smarts and the just the instinct, and then he can throw it and do those things. So it's been a lot of fun having him lead our offense.
Palinkas has that combination of intelligence and athleticism that coaches love and defenses hate. He can extend plays with his feet and understands where to get the ball.
Depending on coverage, I guess it gets a little complicated, but obviously since I can run, I trust it. So I just keep my eyes downfield. If I don't see anything, I make a play, do what I got to do. Like Coach Fox always says, turn zero into, or what do you say? Negative into a neutral play. So yeah. If I see something if they're in cover one and I think maybe Israel, for instance, I checked into a fade and I thought he can get to space. I'm just trying to key on guys, get matchups and just see it through.
Just a humble, quiet kid that tries to do the right thing every play, and it's a lot of fun to coach him because he's so quiet and unassuming. That's the biggest negative. Joey, be more vocal to your teammates is pretty much the thing, but he's reliable, he's consistent. You heard it. What do you got to improve upon? And he's bought into that. Just play the next play, simply do the right decision within our offense. And he's been so consistent because of that. And for a kid that really, it's only his third Friday night experience, for him to step up and feel like such a veteran is because of his poise and his just matter-of-fact personality that you just saw.
Palinkas is also the kind of guy that players respond to. By the nature of the quarterback position, he stepped right into that leadership role.
You could tell he had the attention and respect of his teammates, even though they hadn't seen him do it in a game, for an entire game, from how he prepared, how hard he works in that weight room, that he does not miss a rep. He's a leader in there. They've seen him work and do it by example. And then now it's like, no, Joey, you have to be more vocal, and he's doing that now, but in an unassuming way. It's not fake, it's just him. So it's a lot of fun.
In the classroom, Palinkas has been excelling throughout his high school career. He carries above a 4.3 grade point average and always pushes himself academically as well.
Obviously, like my dad says, school comes before you're a student athlete. I come home, do homework, I focus, it's a lot, and it's worth it though, so yeah, I'm proud. I'm a math and science guy, so I've been looking like a STEM field or just some type of engineering maybe, but I got to think about it. It's coming up quick.
You see him show up, be consistent, do his work, be reliable, and that sort of thing. So it's really special. I'm sure we'll have all kinds of opportunities now. If he wants to play college football or just go to college, he'll have all kinds of open doors for him to continue to be successful at the next level.
If you know a student who deserves recognition, we want to hear about them, and you can nominate them completely online. Go to OhioLottery.com. Find the About section. Click on Partners in Education. There you will see links to nomination forms. Nominate that student as an academic all-star, and they could end up being featured as our next shining star. A lot of time on this edition of Sports for CLE. We'll see you back here Monday at 4, talking Browns Jets recap. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you Monday at 4 on Sports for CLE.